How the heck are you, everybody? I am Fastidious. Welcome to my channel. Crazy video. We already know the next limited hero after Dahlia, even though Dahlia has not arrived yet. So we know the next two limited heroes coming to Watcher of Realms, but neither of them are here. It does look like, and I think we've got some real dates for you, that Dahlia will almost certainly be next weekend. So that's the weekend of June 14th, June 15th. I was completely wrong. I was so sure it was going to be this weekend, June 7th. Dead wrong. I'm going to take an L. I'll eat a little bit of crow. I was incorrect. And then with this girl behind me, aka Dragon Girl, we're going to break down her kit. We're going to go over her awakenings. I'm going to give all my opinions. I've given a rough kind of once over of her kit, but I have not done a thorough analysis. I'm going to do that live in this video with you guys right now. We have got her kit. We have got her awakenings. Huge shout out to the Leak Boys. Thank you to Rakanchi for giving all this to me. Thank you to Panther. Big thank you to Destin, who brought this public yesterday. He was the first one. And of course, thanks to the other two guys, Aresis and T. A great crew of Leak Boys they have got over there. If you want to know the leaks as soon as they come, I'll have a link to that section of Destin's Discord in my description. It's the best source if you want to know this stuff as soon as it comes to light. Otherwise, you can wait for Destin's video, and then you can wait a little longer for my video. But here we are. This is going to be Dragon Girl. We don't yet know her name, but we do know basically when she's going to come. It absolutely seems it's going to be in conjunction with the anniversary event, which will either be the first or second week of July. So by that logic, we're getting Dahlia around June 14th, and then max, like 4 weeks later, we are going to get Dragon Girl. So we have to break down our kit. We have to make sure we all understand it very clearly, because a lot of people are going to have to choose one or the other. I will say, I anticipate we're going to get lots of diamonds, lots of rare summoning crystals during the anniversary events. So some people may be able to go for both. I very much intend to go for both, but a lot of you are going to have to pick an either or. So let's go through her kit, let's break her down, and let's get into it.
Fastidious.
Fastidious.
Alrighty guys, here she is. Let's get into it. Pop open that kit. Thank you to Panther for creating this. Just fantastic. I'm going to make myself a little smaller. There is the name, Dragon Girl. We don't know it yet, but it does seem like she's great friends with her pet dragon, Ymerit, who I covered already in like the new upcoming heroes with those banners. He is going to be paired with the Valderon banner. He's a melee dragon. She seems to somewhat, at least lore-wise, be connected to him. That's what makes her the Dragon Girl. You can see her little image right above my head, and these are the stats. I actually want to start with the stats because kind of weird stuff, right? 22 cost. That's absolutely on the higher end for a mage, which is what she is. She's a magic damage dealing mage. You'll see right above my head to the right, we've got this range. Unclear if this is the post-promotion or pre-promotion range, so we don't know if she's going to have like that kind of standard single target damage or burst damage dealing mage range, you know, like an Amani or a Comet, or if it's going to fill out to a full 3x4 square and she's going to get that range more akin to like a Virna. I would guess it's going to fill out in the 3x4 because usually the higher cost correlates to a more significant range, but that's not like a fact, right? If you look at Kriya, she's 21 costs and she's got like the worst range, but she's definitely going to be a mage, magic damage dealing. But then let's look at the stats. As I was saying, if we go to attack, she has only 4,050 attack, which is basement. That is about as low as you are going to see on a legendary DPS mage. I think it might be the lowest period. Let's pop open the gallery really quickly, and I will show you guys. Actually, while we're in here, let me show you. So if you missed it, sorry, I gotta pop her back open because I really want to show you guys this. She is dual faction. She is a Northerner and she is a cultist. Why is that significant? Well, I've done some snooping. She is the only hero in the game to have that dual faction designation of those specific factions. I'll show you. I'll just go through really quick with the Northerners. Obviously, the Lords are only Northerner. The Nocturne has a dual faction Infernal, and I'll just say the second factions. Obviously, all these guys are Northerners. We got an Arbiter in Valkyra. Moving right along, we've got a Chaotic in Ardia. Then we have got Infernal in Brunor. We've got Watcher in Lightlock, and then we've got Watcher in Avalon. That's it. So clearly there was no Northern or Cultist. That gives her a pretty unique designation. Now let me show you the DPS on some of these mages, right? Let's go to Demi. This first one I saw there, I know she has a pretty low attack, 4308, right? So that's almost 300 attack higher. Let's go to someone like Kriya, super high, right? Over 5,000. Let's go to Virna, another good example. Virna comes in at 4341, and these are some of the higher cost mages. That's why I selected those. They're also cultists, so she's part cultist. That's a nice pairing. If we go to someone like Comet, more of like a kind of single target, even though he does do the AoE, a bursty high DPS mage. If we go to Comet, he's going to come in at over 4,600, if I'm not mistaken, off the dome. 4633, right? So she is really, really low. And I think that's absolutely worth mentioning. So let's pop her kit back open and let's kind of explain why I think they might have made her so low. So we ought to kind of understand what's going on here. She's going to be pretty unique in that she's a summoner mage. She summons this unit called Labor. So let's talk about the talent. It's a great place to start. When deployed, she summons Labor. Upon the death of an allied summon, Labor gains 1 stack of Ancient Spirit, stacking up to 10 times. So you'll see as we go through her kit, there's some nice things in her kit that synergize well with there being other summoned units on the floor. To my knowledge, unless they're counting like Kriya's crows as, or I think they're crows that Kriya does, right? Unless they're counting those as summons, I don't really know who else does proper, and I don't think they would, right? I don't know who else does proper summons in the whole game besides Cyrus. Cyrus has his skeleton warriors and his skeleton fighters. I don't know if anyone else is just properly summoning units. So is this the start of a new kind of hero that's going to come, a new kind of summoner mage that could be really fun, right? And then you could have the way Boreas kind of really shines in a freeze team. Could she be the start of like a kind of meta summoner team? Because as you'll see with some other things in her passive, having summons on the floor helps her a lot and can also help the other summoned units a lot. So upon the death of an allied summon, gain 1 stack of Ancient Spirit, stacking up to 10 times. Labor inherits 100% of the master's attributes and assists the master in attacking enemies in range. She's obviously the master. Maybe her name's going to be like Master Dragoness or something. Who the heck knows? Each attack deals 100% AoE magic damage to up to 8 enemies. These are the attacks dealt by Labor, by the summon thing. And then we've got Ancient Spirit. Each stack increases Labor's attack by 2%. So you can see we can get 10 stacks of that. Maybe there's another way she's summoning, but I haven't seen it yet. Or you can see this is, if we go here to the rating on the bottom, the release readiness rating that Panther gives it, it's only a 2 out of 10. So perhaps there's more to come, or maybe with her release, they're going to release some epics that do summons or some other legendary. I don't know. But clearly it's pointing towards a summon meta or new kinds of summoner heroes. I hope so, at least. That'd be really fun. So Labor could get an additional 20% attack. So that can start explaining why there's such a low base attack to begin with, because Labor is going to match her stats largely, inheriting 100% of the attributes. So now, you know, if you can stack these summoner deaths, which TBD are summoned deaths, he can get a lot of attack, or they can, or it can, or whatever. Now the magic attack, this is her basic attack. I love that it tells us the numbers. It's going to hit 5 enemies, 110% AoE magic damage. I presume that is with full skill ups. I don't know, 110 seems really weird. It's usually 100 at base, 120, but hey, 5 enemy multi-target, pretty cool. Now for the manual ultimate, you love to see this. Doesn't look like we have a cost on this yet, but if we look at it, when activated, Labor immediately deals 360% AoE magic damage. They're telling us the number again, to up to 10 enemies in range, then increases Labor's damage by 140% and attack speed by 20%. So increasing damage by 140%, basically whatever the damage was, there's a 2.4x multiplier on it. That's very strong. Everything that the way the kit reads, and you know, we'll have to see more when it's more complete, it seems like Labor is the one dealing damage. The only thing I've seen so far that isn't Labor himself dealing the damage is going to be the magic attack, but maybe that's something missing in it, or I'm not really seeing much of her and Labor together dealing damage in conjunction, you know, in unison. Now we've got the first passive, and then the attack speed boost by 20. Feels low. I don't know. Now, Calamity's Whisper, the first passive, when attacking, Labor has a 20% chance to generate Noxious Breath. So this is going to be a new kind of damage over time. It's a new kind of dot. When the ultimate's trigger, generates Noxious Breath immediately, and this is like a heavily focused on ground melee unit damage over time effect. So 20% magic damage per second to up to 8 enemies in range. I'm assuming it's going to be 5 seconds. That's usually the standard. That would make it identical to a burn. What makes it different is airborne units take half the damage instead. So this is kind of typical of a lot of the cultists. They're really good at AoE and really good at hitting floor units, not so much aerial units. You know, you see that with heroes like Morrigan, for example. I think Zealous has a similar thing where he does more that ground damage. You know, when it does, there's a kind of the ground swells and the auras. It's half damage to aerials, to airborne units. So that's gonna be Noxious Breath. So a little bit of dot on top of that. Then we've got the next passive. When on the battlefield, increases the attack of Labor by 15%. So here we go, another big attack boost. So another explanation for this basement 4050 attack, 4050 attack, and grants attack increase to other allied summons. So again, other allied summons. So unless you're running her with Cyrus, which would be kind of you could do it if it's like you got your 2 lines of teams. He could be the lord of the other team, but she's not an Esoterra, so there's no obvious pairing, you know, for a lot of content between her and Cyrus, even though Cyrus is kind of good everywhere, so it could work. You know, you have Comet and Cyrus and Boreas on one side maybe, or Seraphina, I don't know. And then you could have, you know, your Cultist Lord or Northerner Lord, and then a team built around Dragon Girl on the bottom. I don't know. I hope, though, this is pointing towards we're getting more kind of units that summon people. It also doesn't have to be a mage, right? Cyrus is a summoner guy. He has a skeleton fighter, the skeleton warrior, and he's a defender. So more summons is cool. I think a lot of people like summons. Another thing I haven't mentioned, where does Labor go, right? So she's going to be a platformer, obviously, as a mage, unless somehow the thing we all wanted for Dahlia, where she could be a melee and a platformer, is going to happen for her. I 1000% doubt that. But where does Labor go? Does she summon him onto the summon onto another platform space, onto a melee space? Is it stay on her tile? I have absolutely no idea. I would love to know that. Hopefully we get more information soon. But yeah, we'll give a big attack increase to other people. We actually don't know what this attack increase is. It's highlighted. You see it would be clickable once it comes to game. I presume it is going to be the same 15%. Now we've got something here, Fatal Attraction ? What is this? Sounds like a partner bond skill to me, if I've ever heard the name of one. No information on that yet, but who knows? Maybe her and Dahlia are partners. That would be cool. 2 cultist mages. That would make Dahlia more relevant. I have absolutely no idea. Something else I wanted to say is maybe with Dahlia, do the blossoms count as summons? I don't know. They take up tiles. There's a lot of things to think about. Do the crystals by eye count as summons? I doubt it, but maybe, because you can see if we look over here just next to my head, it says, I almost nailed my point there, damage escalating. So you increase the damage over time. The only form of damage escalation I see in the kit that we just broke down is in the talent with the stacks of Ancient Spirit. So clearly they want her to be a damage escalating kind of hero, and that would come from getting these big stacks, and the big stacks are only coming from the death of summons. And again, if it's only summoned units, I think it's only Cyrus. That doesn't make sense. So I think there's something else coming. Certainly the 2 out of 10 is feeling kind of right, but I'm loving this information. A beautiful job by Panther. Again, go check out the Leakers Lounge. I'll have the link with a direct invite to Destin's Discord community with all those amazing leaks as soon as they come out in the description of this video. So that's basically it for the kit. I think she reads really well. Some people are like, oh, she's so much better than Dahlia. We definitely don't know enough about that to say that for sure. She definitely seems more normal, but we also have a lot of things we don't know about the kit. When it comes to how Labor works, what other summoned allies mean. This is coming around the anniversary. Are we getting other heroes that do summons? I think until we know all that, it's really hard to say. But certainly she seems slightly more conventional. I think my big question mark is, where is Labor placed? Is it a platform next to her so it takes up a spot? That would be a big issue in Gear Raid 1. If she's taking up, if let's say, I build everything on the left on those 5 tiles over there, you only have 5 tiles to work with. If her summon is taking up another tile, that's kind of funky. If he's on melee, that's pretty interesting, but it can also change things. So that's a big consideration. Let's talk about Awakenings really quickly, and then I think we can already wrap this up a bit. If we look over here, it's pretty simple. Really, really nice job by Panther. So at A1, when Labor is generated, immediately inflicts immobilized state on up to 8 enemies in range. So this makes me think Labor's showing up on a different tile. And then there's going to be some kind of radius, maybe it's like a Dolores Constance range around Labor where they get the mobilized state. Mobilized state's cool. It's very much like a stun. Basically, they don't move and they can't attack for X amount of time. We can't see it here because we can't click it. Now, very conventional, A2, little typo, but plus 300 attack. That's pretty good. She's hurting for attack, so we'll absolutely take that. And if you do the math, some heroes it's like plus 5%. With only 4,000 base, plus 300 attack is pretty significant, right? It's like over 7%. So that's very nice. Now the A3, this is amazing. So this is where A3 and A4 are now starting to get fantastic. So if people want to go ballistic, so she's got the low attack. If you can get her A3, it's going to ignore 20% of the enemy's magic resistance, which is basically their defense for incoming magic damage. So basically it's lowering their defense for getting hit by magic damage by 20%. So it makes the threshold she has to clear much lower, which makes her attack much more relevant, and then Labor's attack much more relevant as he scales, especially if there's a way to get those stacks of whatever they called it, Ancient Spirit, I believe it was called. Let's check that really quick. Let me see. Yes, the Ancient Spirit. That would be really great. I think that could start hitting really, really hard. And then we've got penetration, 8%. This is ignoring all defense, all resistances. She's only doing magic damage. The number here is going to be like, it's like another 8% magic resistance ignored. So now you're ignoring 28%. So over a quarter of all the normal magic defense you would face, magic resistance. That's very good. And now enemies on tiles affected by Noxious Breath receive 20% increased damage from both this hero and Labor. This is what makes me think that she is doing some damage herself, and it's just the kit's kind of incomplete as it stands now. It seems most things are built around Labor, but I think she's probably doing some damage as well, and we'll learn it over time. Certainly it makes me think that this basic attack includes damage coming from her. Maybe her and Labor are attacking together. I think she could do a lot of damage. I think she'd be really cool. I'm very intrigued by the potential partner skill, and I'm really intrigued by what this means with summoned allies. Is there more coming? Can she summon other things to kind of synergize with herself? All in all, I'm very intrigued. Thank you so much to Leak Boys for sharing this. My final opinion on should you go for this or go for Dahlia, if you want an immediate return on like AoE magic damage ASAP, I think I guess assuming that they came out at the same time, it's going to be like 4 weeks apart. But, if you're not looking that, myopically, if you're not looking at that short a time frame and you're willing to think over that month, who would I rather have? If you just want reliable, normal AoE magic damage from a mage, she's going to be better. She's also a Northerner, which is, there's only currently 3 mages in the entire North Throne faction, and you need 3 to get 3 stars on stage 12. Don't I know it, in faction trials. So that makes her kind of special. I think she could work really nice. There's nothing in this kit that synergizes with Northerners at all. Right? There's a little bit cultist stuff if we go to the Awakenings if you get the Immobilized from the A1, right? So you get some of that crowd control things, but there's nothing that has anything to do with shields. So nothing about her feels like a Northerner, but it's cool that she has that designation. It makes her special in a way. But she's going to be more conventional, just kind of AoE damage. The summon thing is unique, but she's got like a normal range, unlike Dahlia. She's got normal damage. However, if you want something more specific and that could be geared toward things to come, that would be Dahlia. I think a lot of people, it comes in, do you want like a bird in the hand, bird in the bush kind of thing? And it's very speculative with Dahlia. I think if you're like me, you're going to go for both. If you can swing it, that you can go for both, I think you should. I do think if you're an endgame player, until we know more about the summoner stuff, Dahlia seems more exciting. I know that might be a crazy take, but, nothing about this until I know more about the summoner mechanics and more summoner kind of heroes to come. Nothing about this seems unique and that like my Virna or my Comet or something like that could do. If you're early or mid or late game, but you don't have a hero like this, absolutely go for her over Dahlia. If you do have people filling those roles, though, I think Dahlia is super unique and has the potential to influence your count more directly. It's going to be a big kind of weighing pros and cons. She seems more relevant for the content we have in the game currently. I think that's the big takeaway. That's what you guys should think. I've been Fastidious. I hope you enjoyed this breakdown. If you did, be sure to subscribe, like the video, get in the comments, let me know what you think. Head into my Discord as well, the Fast and Fastidious. The link to that will be in the description. Share it with your mother, and I'll see you real soon.
Fastidious.